Welcome to EasyClear, your one-stop software solution. Our goal is to uniform the supply chain along all modalities into one platform. This is inclusive of Transnet, customs services, and IATA, along with cross-border and transit into upper African countries. We offer system as a service that allow easy-to-use transitions between the forwarding, RCG, clearance, invoicing with disbursements, reporting, and bulk interactions. Follow me into the agent industry with your host, Devin Few.
Alrighty, let's get started. So firstly, we'll log on to EasyClear. We'll be providing you with your EasyClear company name, inclusive of the password. If you lose that information, please reach out to EasyClear, as we can always provide that information back to you, normally by logging on via TeamViewer or AnyDesk. So you'll select your company name in regards to the dropdown, your department that you logged into, whether you've got multiple departments such as imports or exports, please log on to the relevant department. If, say, for instance, your business is set up towards imports, air, road, rail, and sea, your auto file numbering can be set up in regards to that one as well. So you'll be logged onto the air freight department to raise air freight style file numbering, inclusive of road, rail, and sea as well. So auto numbering can be set up specific to your modalities. All right, then you'll have your username and your direct password. Okay. Once you log into EasyClear, you'll see the landing page. Duly note I'm zooming in just a little bit. You can utilize the magnifying glass on EasyClear on top, just to zoom in a bit if it's
Contact
required.
details.
This works on
An
any
advanced
web
search
page as
option
well.
that allows you to search either import files, export files, clearance files, be it via the master number or the house number, or whatever third-party client reference fields you might have. We also have the estimates module, which we'll be touching base on shortly. A master file, if you know you've got a potential validation for the estimate quote that's been accepted, you're more than welcome to raise a master file. That also feeds into clearing and forwarding. Forwarding for your agent to agent deliveries, and communication with inclusive of house lines and consolidation. Your clearing is also inclusive of your imports and exports, doing voucher corrections, your section 38 for your DA 306, DA 66, as well as costing, and all the DA documents that are available in the web application for EasyClear. We'll also provide you with NPA for Transnet communication to cargo dues, landing orders, and also your transshipping orders. Waybills will be your international waybills, or you can reference your domestic waybills as well for domestic tracking purposes. We have the SARS button as well, where you can directly do duty calculations, specific SARS documents, inclusive with reports, be it VAT 404 reports, as well as your deferment reports and any tariff book lookups from there as well. And most importantly, your SARS rates of exchange. Furthermore, we also have the bulk EDR option. So if you have files prepped to the SAD 500, you're more than welcome to send those files in bulk to customs, as well as retrieve bulk responses from SARS as well. And also the EDR dashboard to review any EDR status from customs as well. The accounts module for your internal invoicing purposes. It can communicate with any financial applications that you might have on your side. And that integration is very unique between EasyClear and your financial party. So we like to be full hands-on there when we divulging into your financials. Thereafter, maintenance. Maintenance is just to control the application settings, specifically most commonly your invoice settings, as well as your country lookup, and also more importantly, your client maintenance. Furthermore, if you would like to, EasyClear has the functionality to enable the QC dashboard. So this can be utilized to have managerial approval to confirm that all files are 100% correct, allowing the manager to approve the file before it hits custom system. We've also got the acquittals full system as well. Tracking module, so you can upload your tracking, download tracking, or utilize a barcode tracking events schedule from there. And a report builder, The full warehousing module as well, be it free store or bond store, inclusive of full Excel reports or PDF reports. Transport system, allowing you to do a cargo draw sheet based on your master number per truck or master number per consolidation of trucks for your inbound and outbound. Furthermore to that, we allow for easy reports, unique Excel defined reports per company. And then last but not least, what type of integration are you using? And this will be more per client related to EasyCare. All right, so that just covers the landing screen. And just to give a little bit more information on the top section, the blue in-tray box allows you to click on that and see what are the latest EDI status that customs have sent through to you, as well as if there are any rejections, such as what our dear colleague in Yuvan had over here. I'm just going to open that file up. I see that was the empty container load for RCG. Deal, manifests. So I'm just going to go over to this DP entry over here. And then from there, if there's any EDI responses, you'll see that the blue button corresponds to the EDI response that comes back from customs. So it does help you from a managerial level and operations level on tracking what shipments are doing, which ones are released from an easy over point of view. And the orange button is purely for notifications. Alrighty, so starting off, I'm going to get us rolling on the ball for estimates. All right, so we'll just go into the estimates module. Obviously, estimates are related to your quotations to your clients or your estimates to your clients. That's obviously if they do a signed quotation for that estimate, preferably 30 days per quotation. And you can raise it in the system, inclusive of the fact that we also have auto numbering for estimates, as we find a lot of feedback saying that a lot of people won't sign a quote because there's no quote reference number. So we do allow auto numbering, or the potential that allows you to add your own reference as a quotation if you have no auto numbering there. Before we start adding a file, I'm just going to press the search button straight away, and the search button will render how many records are we fetching. Based on that, you can say I want to fetch 10, hit the search button, and it will show you the first 10 results. If furthermore to that, you want to show the first 1,000, you can press the search button, and within milliseconds, you can see the first 1,000 results have actually come up. If you'd like to, in EasyClear systems, search by other alternatives, the bill of entry number, transport details, or manifest number, or who was the entry clerk or senior clerk who raised the file, we do have alternative search methods as well. All right, instead of opening a file, I'm just going to add a new file and start from scratch over here. The quotation reference number, I have set up auto numbering over here. So we'll go from the quotation, press the tab option into the transfer mode, and the modality. If we're uncertain what information gets inserted into transport mode, we do offer full training on that. However, within the application and the manuals, it will show you that you can press the magnifying glass next to each field, and that'll bring up a short list just to show you what the modalities are, such as 1 for sea, 2 for rail, 3 for road, 4 is air, and it goes up to modality 9, transport's not applicable. So I assume that's somebody walking over the border, but that can also be related as 0 mode unknown. So let's raise most common scenario here being air freight. So we'll choose transfer mode 4. And there's no need to always run through the selection. It's just there as a helping guide. You're more than welcome to put in 4 by typing it in and then pressing the tab option. You'll note that the tab option goes directly from transfer mode straight to mode type, bypassing the registration date, because the registration date is a fixed scenario within the system when you open the file. With regards to mode type, you're either doing I for import or E for export. So you just need to press I on the keyboard, and then it will select your I for import. Obviously, if you pressed E, you would have chosen the export scenario. Because I've chosen I for import, we can double check that the shipping party particulars will be very specific to your importer. And if it's a brand new client, you know this client does not exist in the system, then the best method there is to add the client to the system. The validations within the EasyClear system allow you to potentially not type out the full name and surname of the importer or the potential importer, and then by pressing the tab button, it should auto-populate if there's one result. I can see here that there's been multiple tests in regards to this unique importer's name. And because there's multiple, it doesn't know which one to choose. So it gives you a list and asks you which one you would like to choose. But when you know that that name is definitely not in the system, I can remove the last character and I can see that there's no return result for the name I'm looking for. And if it was just one name of the result, it would have put in the last character R for me. So whilst I'm registering a clearance file or let alone an estimate file, I can use the system, and while I'm registering, I can press the plus button, specify my client type. Is this an importer inclusive of a debtor? So I can raise a potential invoice on the client for the estimate portion, or a creditor as well, and also mark it off as other client types. Furthermore to that, I can complete the name at this point. Once the name is saved in the system, it is locked down, but you can still go in and edit the shortcode, providing that you have or want to link a shortcode to the clients, because you can always search in EasyClear for the shortcode if you don't know the full length or name of the import for the estimates. You can also specify, is this a link shortcode to another client, as well as what will the address be. You can furthermore insert a suburb if you want to do domestic scheduling. The customs code, I'm just going to use the defaulted customs code of 70707070 for non-registered trader. Do they have a valid VAT number? You can also go as far as inserting the company registration number. So I'm just going to add a tentative VAT number here. The company's CK number, if you'd like to keep that on record. What will be the account number? So I'm going to call this account underscore Devon 001. Does the client have its own FAN number, or are they going to be using your deferment account or your cash account? And if it is an unregistered trader, it's always good to prepare it for the imports module as well to specify what the unregistered trader is, but this information is unnecessary for estimates. Once I insert the name and address, that is good enough to raise the estimates. The other fields are not mandatory, but should be relevant when you're actually raising your clearance file to customs. Right. If it is an unregistered trader, we do allow for the ID number, the tax number, or the passport number to be inserted. So if we do have the ID number, all right, so I've just inserted a fake ID number there, then that will relate to when I'm using this client for the import clearance, it will already be at the ready in order to proceed for the clearance file. All right, I can just scroll to the top section and press save. The blue button over here does allow you to open up the client maintenance that I was referring to earlier there. So I'm just going to save this before I open that blue button there, just to give you a quick squiz as to what it does. Once it clicks on show more, you'll see here at the top of EasyClear, we open two separate tabs, taking you straight to the client maintenance screen, but no additional back buttons from here. So once you're done with the client maintenance screen, adjusting all the setup and settings for this client, you just have to close the browser in order to return back to the estimate screen that you're on. So you're more than welcome to go through the client maintenance screen. This I'll go more in depth with on the clearance file, just to show you what defaults you can set up and also what invoicing defaults you can set up at a later stage. Right, then for the supplier screen, you can do the same thing. If there is a supplier in the system, you'll see that for multiple suppliers on the far right hand side, the one that I would want to utilize now will be the Tai Sung. So if I had to insert partial of the Tai Sung name and press tab, because there's only one result, I don't need to utilize the full functionality of my keyboard and type in the whole name. If there's only one result that comes up via the magnifying glass when you press tab, EasyClear will automatically fill out the rest of the name for you as long as the supplier name or importer name already exists. All right. Further to that, I just press the tab button. You'll see we import origin. And if I press tab again, you'll see the screen adjusts slightly. In order to, on any web browser, whether you're on internet banking or the EasyClear screen, you can actually hold shift and press tab once, and you'll see the mouse cursor goes back. So for EasyClear Web, tab is to move forward to the next mandatory field, or it's best to use tab so you don't bypass a mandatory field. And you will notice for those using our legacy application, the enter button no longer takes you to the next field. That will be tab due to a browser's limitations and not EasyClear's. All right, ports of origin. For this origin, I'm just going to say Maputo. So you can specify the port of origin, most commonly the city, and then what the destination will be. If it's a specific airport that you would want to utilize, like John F. Kennedy for the United States, you can see there I just inserted John F. and it resolved the rest of the origin's name. For any reason that the airport doesn't exist in the system, please just give EasyClear a shout as we can help you add it to the system in a very quick and easy manner. And we'd also do this on your computer to show you how it's done. For the secondary destination, we're going to use ORA-Tambo, but you will take note that ORA-Tambo doesn't exist in regards to the country master. So if you would like to rename JSA International Airport as ORA-Tambo, we can rename the city as long as the ISO code is correct for customs purposes, or at least your estimate here. So based on that, most commonly for JSA, we'll have it in the EasyClear system as the country lookup as JHB International Airport. That automatically resolves the ISO code of JSA. Next will be the estimated date of arrival. You're more than welcome to type it out, but you do find that commonly you have typos if you find that your focus isn't right there. So it's quite easy to click on the calendar within the EasyClear system and actually specify the dates on the calendar, allowing you to insert that full date. So let's actually change that to the 14th, making the shipment arrival for tomorrow. Number of pieces, I'm just going to specify 10 pieces as per the quote's original email or communication with the client. The gross mass, 110, based on the information that the client would have provided you. If you do find that the mass needs to change at any point, an estimate isn't fixed within the EasyClear system unless estimate is not fixed within the EasyClear system. You will note that you can actually come back and change the estimate as needs be, but for whatever template is printed out, we do save a template to the system. So before I finalize this quote and reach the bottom section here, what we can do at this point is save the file, and you'll see at this point, it already gives us an automatic file number for the quote reference. If you would like to, you can populate the general registration information, press the save button, and it will automatically give you the next estimate number in sequence. You can also control the estimate auto numbering by modality as well. We do have that option. And you can also have a different estimate number or quotation number based on your import or export scenario, which customs office you're referring to, or which importer clients you're also referring to as well. The additional change on the screen right now after I press the save button is the paperclip where my mouse is pointing to right now. The paperclip is for any documentation you would like to drag and drop into the EasyClear system that's linked to this quote, such as the email or any documents that relate to the quotation that the client sent you, as well as any documents I print out from the system will automatically save to the paperclip based on the file number. Next to that, now that it is saved, I can also press the bubble picture over here, which allows you to add comments or notes against the quotation reference that can be printed out onto any documentation that you see fit, or a request from EasyClear just to add into the system so that you can preview your notes and comments in a specific way unique to your business. All right, so that's just in addition to those two features in the auto numbering. So I'm going to scroll back down as we're done with the gross mass. Then we can insert the volume. Volumetric rates is more mandatory for sea freight rather than air. So you can bypass this. As you see, I was able to save the field without putting in all the necessary information. Chargeable mass, I'm going to review that the same as the gross mass, but please take note, sometimes gross mass and chargeable mass would differ if you're not going to charge the personnel for the pallets that the goods are sitting on for that aircraft shipment. Is this a container load? If so, would you like to make it a full FCL LCL? So this is an option that's always on the screen, but because we're doing an air freight file, it is unnecessary. But if you were doing a sea freight file, then you can specify if it's a FCL or LCL type shipment. All right, so now that we're done with the package details, we can go over to the additional information section, where you can specify what are the payment terms that the client has promised you. Are they going to pay you in advance? Are they going to pay you on delivery, cash on delivery? Or do they have a 30-day up to a 90-day account with you that you can specify, even up to 1,000-day accounts if you really, really trust the client? But most commonly, you'd have a 30-day client for your monthly statements to the client. If inclusive of that, you also have a sales rep commission basis. You can also specify who the sales representative was. So if the quotation did go through, then you can pull up a report that shows you the commission basis and your specific calculation for that sales rep. And commonly, most of the calculations already in EasyClear are for a 3-month turnaround, where a sales rep will have commission for 3 months before the remainder commission goes back to the house, being the company itself. So we can also utilize any of those logical calculations into any report you'd like to build in for sales rep commissions. Your Incoterms, if this is Ex Works as decided by the initial conversation of the quotation. For your Incoterms, we have the full selection of Incoterms in the dropdown between FOB, Ex Works, DDU to DDP. What will the FOB value be over there? So let's specify that at 1,000. Furthermore to that is 1,000 in euros or pounds, sorry, pounds or US dollars. So you can also specify your rates of exchange and what currency that rates of exchange conversion factor will be. So the rates of exchange, be it an import entry, the SOB date will be yesterday's dates. The shipment was yesterday. It's going to have 3 flights routing connections before it reaches this country. So I'm going to specify that date. And then we can just specify that's coming from US dollar. As long as the rates of exchange are available on the SARS website, they'll be available within EasyClear as we update this on a daily basis. So you can specify whatever rates of exchange you need to. If you find that the rates of exchange are not on the SARS website or the EasyClear system, most clients would go to the website called xe.com in order to utilize the spot rate between the ZAR and the foreign currency that SARS do not provide. Last but not least, for the registration screen is just a short description. So this will be for test packages. Most commonly, you'd write a description of what it is, what the item is, such as clothing or whatnot. As you'll see, this comes out on the printout. Once you're done with there, you can scroll to the top of the page, or you press the tab button, and that will automatically take you to the top of the page where you can see the save button is now highlighted. That will save my information, and when working on a web page, you'll notice that when you press the save button, it's always good to watch the far left-hand corner, because if you find your internet's a little bit slow, then you'll see that that save option does spin a little bit before completing the load of the web page. So before continuing to any further information, just make certain that your web page is not still refreshing. I'm going to be, prior to going to the framing side and the invoicing side of this estimate, if you'd like to, you can just put in the username and then go to the invoicing, raise a freight charge or a XWorks charge, and then print the estimate straight away. Or if you find out you don't have all the information, you can go straight to the print menu, and then you can print the estimate in question here. So I'm going to just print the last one in, on the list here, estimate quote. If you do find that your estimate quotes comes up as a new tab as a preview, doesn't give you a preview down below for where it downloads to, just remember in your browser, you do have options as to how PDF documents download to your computer, and that is purely controlled by which browser you're using, be it Firefox, Chrome, Opera, Internet Explorer, or Microsoft Edge. Our preferred option is Microsoft Chrome. So I'll just open the quotation there. And you'll see, as per the estimate quotes, now that I haven't captured anything but the registration screen, we can always change the estimate quotes to suit your business. So if the layout of this quotation doesn't suit your business, please reach out to EasyClear, as we can modify these documents to your liking. As long as it follows a logical process, then the computer won't have a problem with it. And you'll notice the top section, it's got my shipping party particulars, but it doesn't have any tariffing information down below, as the tariffing comes down to 0. So the bottom portion is purely for when you're moving over to the frame side and the client's given you a potential tariff code to use or a commodity to use that you can at least refine or define it to the tariff chapter. So I'll move over to the framing side before we touch the invoicing side. On the framing side, this screen over here looks exactly the same as our clearance for imports or exports as to how you capture a tariff line in the EasyClear system. So the line number is automatic as 1. What will the duty type be? We have a full list of import duty types over here, and it will refine the import duty types because the first screen's selection was for imports. If I were to go back and change it to exports, my drop-down list will be partial to the ELG, ERG situations for the exports. All right. So I can specify my DP. As per DP, and the customs procedure poster, you will see that DP is only relating to 1100 and 1120. Now 1120 would have mean I had an RRB shipment before my DP entry that is not leaving the country. I'm actually keeping it here. Otherwise, if I'm choosing a straight up import from the United States to South Africa on a straight up shipment, I would be using my 1100. So you would need to just define what is your method of import and what CPC code you would need to use based on your clearing instruction from your client. The origin over here, the origin could have been China, moved to the US, and then South Africa. So you can specify where does it actually come from. I'm going to leave it as the United States over here. What is the tariff code in question? So I'll mention these green buttons in a short moment. So I just want to refine the tariff book. So for the tariff book, if I just press the tab button, I can see the tariff book pop up. But if I more or less know the tariff chapter that I would like to use, then I can just insert the tariff chapter or more or less refine that to 3501, for instance. And I can see that only 2 tariff headings pull up for 3501 based on the SARS live tariff book. So our tariff book will always be based on the SARS live tariff book. If you do need a historic tariff book from last year, we can always help you link the application to one of those. If you're a duty-free shop, you'd be utilizing your excise tariff codes. And as well, EasyClear does define a word search. So if you're utilizing the word search for, I don't know, furniture, for instance, you can see a search for every single furniture or tariff description that relates to the word furniture in it. My main focal point in regards to web pages, when I've got a lot of paragraphs in front of me and I'm looking for a specific word, I like to press Control F on my keyboard, F for Freddy, and that'll bring up an easy web-based search criteria, and that's built in your web browser. So from there, I wanted to search for furniture, and I can see that there's exactly 17 results on screen already highlighting each of those results for me. So if you wanted to look for another word, furniture/other, you can also put that into the search criteria on top, or manually just go through each description in order to find out the best fitting suitable tariff code for your item. If I scroll down right to the bottom, I can see how many records have actually been found. There's actually 104. It's only displaying the first 15. If I were to try and increase the size, it doesn't let you increase. I'm just going to zoom out just a tad and over to the right hand side. So I can see there's 7 pages of results. So I can flip the page to the next results or set of results, and I can see the next set of results that refine the word furniture in my word search. Once you've located the tariff code that you are looking for, you can also review the headings on top. What is the general duty that's going to be paid there, or EU, SADC, EFTA, ZW trade agreement, right through to EFTA and ACTA. All right, and then if I find the tariff heading that I'm looking for, this one pays 5% duty. If I click on the info button, I can scroll right down to the bottom. The tariff code that I clicked on info for will give me a due notes at the bottom. Is there any additional levies, excise levies, or Part 2B calculations, inclusive of tire levy calculations as well, and sugar levy if it comes down to it. All right, so this one that I'm using here has base metal mountings, fitting, and similar articles. So it's good to know your tariff chapters in order to find out which best tariff code suits the situation best for you. So I'll select the arrow, choose the tariff heading that I'm looking for there. Next, it will hit the drop-down list for what is your rate of duty. Are we utilizing the general duty? Do you have a EU trade agreement or certificate to use EU trade agreement at 5%, the SADC trade agreement, or whichever trade agreement that you might have on hand, you can specify that during the estimate as well. From there, I can also specify, am I using any rebate schedules? So this will rebate schedule any of my 1P1 duties if I have additional rebates. So if I wanted to use the rebate schedule 3 or 4 here, I can put in the 409, for instance, hit the magnifying glass and see all my rebate schedules for the 409, or even better yet, your 407s as well. So you're more than welcome to choose your rebate codes that best suit the situation that will rebate the 1P1 duty or further environmental levies from there. We also have the manual rebate calculations as well, where you can specify if you've pre-calculated what the duty is going to be, you can force the system to calculate the same. Next in line there, because my FOB value was 1,000 Rand on the registration screen, I can see 1,000 Rand automatically pulls through as my line number 1. I'm just going to choose a rebate code here just to get it out the way there. Okay. And I will be removing that just beforehand, because if I remove it now, it didn't pull up the search menu. So for this item, I know there's going to be 2 tariff lines, each at 500 Rand. What is the converted value into Rand, which displays that on screen while you're busy framing the estimates, as well as the full kilograms that pull through based on the times. So I'm just going to specify this at 55 kgs. And if there is a statistical quantity 2 and 3, such as alcohol, you would get number of pieces, or LI stat unit 1, LA stat unit 2 for liters of absolute alcohol, and then NO, for example, a stat unit 3. The tariff code I chose here is just asking for kilograms, so I don't need a stat 2 or stat 3 to represent to customs at the point of framing for the tariff line or the estimate. Then last but not least on the tariff line, is there VAT, yes or no? Just the basic Y or N, and that will sort it out. So there I can see I've done my very first line. I've pressed the save button on the left-hand side. If you leave your mouse over it, you can see the one button says add, save, delete, and then go back to the invoice screen as well. if you're happy that your remaining totals of the $1,000 US dollars has been used, you can calculate the duty or calculate the worksheet from there. It does allow you an estimate to calculate the duties based on the one line, but it's always good to utilize the full 1,000. So I'm going to bring my remaining balances to 0 there by pressing add and adding a second line. Now, I can even digress on this and say that the very first line was a DP, but my second line is actually going to be the WH for the two-step entry. So you can add multitudes of duty types in this capture screen here, as well as when you're doing your clearance, you can have a DPGR and a DPWH for your live clearances. I'm going to leave this as uniform to be a DP standard. What's the origin for the secondary item? What is the next tariff heading for your, sorry, let's say 75. Cool. And I'm also going to leave this as KG, but we can see duty will be free here. So we can validate, is the calculation for VAT still correct based on this FOB value? Duty-free items won't request your rebate schedule 3 or 4 or 5 and 6. The remainder FOB value is automatic. And then you get your converted amount. And then we're just going to specify the kgs at 55. And that will be yes for line number 2. So now I've saved line 1 and line 2. I've used the full $1,000 for my foreign value that I'm importing based on the supplier's invoice. If furthermore to that, you also want to add an additional description of goods based on the tariff line to print with the tariff line, you're more than welcome to proceed with that as well. So I'm just going to insert that on line 1. Test clothing. And hit the save button. So you can see you can always go back to line 1 or back to line number 2 as a very versatile system and update the necessary information, because you might not have it on hand, but you can always come back and add it later. If at any point you do find the estimate is sealed, the client signed for it, then you're more than welcome to go onto the registration screen, press this padlocking picture over here, and then it will ask you for administrative details just so that you can lock the file and nobody can edit your file without unlocking it, and the EasyClear system will capture the activity of who unlocked the file and changed your estimate in the first place, but they would need administrative password to bypass that feature. So it's very formidably controlled in the system. Right, before we lock the file over there, I'm just going to give you another printout of the duties that we pull through. But before you run with the printout, please remember to calculate your duty. Otherwise, the changes for line number 2 that we've done will not pull through to the estimate quote that we have done. So I see there's the green confirmation there that the duties have been recalculated. Right. So before we add our invoicing lines, I'm just going to go back over to the estimate quote here. And the moment that I see the PDF document is available there, I can also see it is available on my computer. Because whenever you download a PDF document from a web page, you will take notes that it's, so it disappeared on me, so Control J to go to my downloads, show in folder, and I can already see it's already existing on my computer right there. All right. So let's review the estimate quotes and close these other tabs. Just want to make sure I open the correct one by reprinting it. And there's no limits for the system as to how many times you can print it. So I can see the estimate quotes on the far left-hand side. There's 2 pages open, 1 page for each tariff. And if needs be and you want us to squash that in a little bit, we can do. So I do know it's like over there from on my highlights, I see somebody has been playing around with this estimate quote. So we can always change it if we see words are overwriting each other. That's quite an easy fix on our side, I must be honest with you. All right, so for line number 1, we can see the inclusive of duty and VAT, the total payable to customs for this line is going to be just under $2,000. The customs value being at 8740. The percentage here is your 5%, so to calculate your FOB value plus 10% times by 5%, you'll reach out to an ATV of 10051. And then the duty, 5% duty on that should be 437, and the VAT is 1507.65. In order to calculate the duty, that will be your FOB value in Rand plus 10% times by 5%. That'll give you 437. Then 437 plus your FOB plus 10%, sorry, FOB plus 10% plus duty added together times by 15% will give you your VAT amount. The two added together will then therefore give you your total. So you can always lay it out for a client like this, or we can change the layout if needs be of your estimate to whatever best suits your company needs. For line number 2, we can see that there's only VAT inclusive. So the ATV on this item will be 9,614. No duty inclusive or any Part 2A levies. So your VAT will just be 15% of the ATV, which will lead you to 1,442 and 10 cents. So total payable to customs on this line will just be the VAT. Then at the end of the line, we can also maybe add a grand total for what does line 1 and 2 together sum up to, so you can see what is the grand total for the estimate quote towards customs. All right, I'm just going to close that off. Next, we see that the additional templates on the far left-hand side here, if I zoom in just a tad, the two additional ones here, quotes additional charges only. So we have 3 different templates already linked to the system, or the other quotes including additional charges. So additional charges only, if I had to print that one out right now, that one should print out blank because we haven't added any invoicing lines to the template. So we're bypassing the fact that we wanted to see the tariff line calculation. We just want to see potentially what you as an agent are going to potentially charge me as the client. If I print out the secondary template over here, I see somebody has unlinked that, so I'll just have to run 1 and 2 there. Then we'll just run the invoicing screen over here. All right. Our invoicing screen for the estimates is very, very simple. You can have automatic invoice values to say, what is your terminal cost, your chargeable mass, how much will the freight be, is there a rate of exchange? So you can potentially put in a predetermined calculation within the estimates module, so the system can automatically calculate what is the freight going to be or what is the cartage going to be based on the gross mass or the gross volume, sorry, the total volume. What is the highest of the two in order to calculate that line as well. I'm going to bypass that because that gets rather intricate. And then we get the 2. Who is the debtor going to be under this case? We know it was Devon EasyClear. If I just had to type in the word Devon, it's going to ask me which Devon debtor are you looking for, so you can select it. So that's why I just put in the E next, just so I know that the system will resolve the one name being the debtor I know I've added to the system not 5 minutes ago. There's an account number that pulls through automatically your VAT number. The postal address, if I wanted that in the delivery address as well, it depends which one your template is printing. My template attached to the system will always print the delivery address, so I just need to make certain my delivery address is added to my data. Otherwise, it can just deliver to the postal address as well. Is there a specific client reference as well? Based on this shipment as well, so the client can utilize their reference to say this reference to this invoice in particular. Once I'm done adding my data, I'm not going to go straight to the lines. If I try and add a line at the moment, it's going to cause an issue in the system because you've got to save the data first, and then you'll see that these buttons now have appeared to add, save, delete your lines of the invoice. Each invoice line has to be connected to a master. That's why the sequencing works in that way, to save the header before you start divulging into the line information. Excuse me. If you have a specific estimates or quotes range where you don't want those charge codes linked to your invoicing module within the EasyClear system, you can have a specific department called estimates where the charge codes you used will only be there for estimates. Some clients like to use the estimates module that pulls the information that we're raising on the estimate here directly into the invoice without needing to re-raise the whole invoice accordingly. Right, so if we have the code over here, I can press the magnifying glass. If I know what the code is, I can use the short version and auto pull. But for this exercise, I'm going to use the magnifying glass and just show you a short description of what the codes can potentially look like. We like to copy your financial system and put those codes into here based on your company setup. And for each code, what is the description? Is there duty, ad valorem, VAT, freight, and whatever other codes that you need to utilize for your business, being it local cartage, international cartage, freights, air freight, ocean freight, and thereof. All right, so I'm going to add the very first charge being customs duty. Charge code is 001. Description is customs duty. VAT is automatically no on the default setup here. And then this is a disbursement or revenue type charge. Now, because I'm not going over the setup, that's more between when EasyClear joins with your company, we'd ask you, what is your financial setup? Could you send us a copy of that? Because we can automatically import that into the system, ready and waiting for you just to use. And that'll be communicated with your finance department. All right, so I'll choose the very first code here being 001, which is customs duty. And if I like to, I don't have to use the description that the system is portraying there. I can put in my own description. Because it's a quotation, I'm just going to call it possible duty. So you'll note the charge code you can't change, but the description can be edited. Is it a disbursement or revenue type charge? So we allow you to actually modify that on estimates, but not the invoicing side. What type VAT type charge is it? Between standard, zero rated, no VAT, or exempt. If I had to choose S, it will be your standard 15% of the value that you insert, but there's no VAT on the customs duty charge that you spend out to your client, so I'm going to leave that no VAT. What is the quantity of this item? There's one. Customs VAT, I'm going to have it at a specific rate, 0.14. So we can get the duty to automatically pull here based on the setting, but based on the documentation that I had previously pulled as well, I can also see what the duty and VAT are going to be. So I opened the wrong document there. Open this estimate quotes instead. Right. So then the full duty amount here is just going to be the 437 for line number 1. And as I specified before, you can get this to automatically pull through from what you had pre-calculated. Now you'll note that each time I change the price from 437 to 438, the additional columns automatically update. So there's no need for me to tab through every single one of these lines unless I want to say, oh, wait, for a moment, the amount's going to be 437 converted to Rand, estimating my clients in Rand. 437, then my actual cost might be 400 based on a freight charge. So my revenue is going to be 37 Rand. So you can potentially see how much you're going to be paying out, how much you're going to be earning, but obviously you won't earn revenue on a dutiable charge to customs. So this will just remain the 437 and 437 here. Revenue goes back to 0. All right. So if I press save, you can see the line now has saved over here. And then I'm going to add my next line. What is the customs VAT going to be? That charge code was 002. Oh, no, it's ad valorem, sorry, 003. There we go, customs VAT. And so if you don't know your charge code, you can actually review the charge code within the magnifying glass. The customs VAT is a disbursement type charge. There's no VAT on VAT charge with customs. The price there, I see, is 1507.65 and 1442.10. So 1057.65. I'm actually going to add these as 2 separate charges. And then the secondary charge for the VAT is 1442.10. So I could pull out a calculator, add them together. I can hit an option in the system that allows the GC and VAT to automatically pull through to the estimate, or as I'm showing you here, rather to add each charge manually if you know that you manually want to raise your quotations one by one. But there is a faster and easier method to this. It's the additional charges that actually cause a little bit more of a manual process there. So if I know my freight charge, I'm going to be charging the clients 1,500 at a 15% VAT rate. But I'm going to leave that as 2 just to show you what quantity does here. So if I have to specify that there's 2 times by the price, whatever my price is going to be, I'm going to call that 750. 2 multiplied by 750 will convert to 1,500. So you can also break down, if you've got a box of pens, you can charge to show them what is your breakdown per each pen, accumulating to the same amount that you're invoicing for. Tabbing through that, I can see what the 15% VAT is, or 1,500. And then how much is the freight going to cost me as an agent? I still need to make revenue, otherwise you're not going to be in business there. So I'm going to say this is going to actually cost me 1,000. So therefore, my potential cost is 1,000. I'm claiming back 1,500. Sorry, I'm just seeing this revenue at minus 250 here. I'll leave it as 1. I see a little bit of a glitch there, but not too much of a train smash there. Probably based on a setting. Cool. So if I set it at 1,000, I can see my revenue is automatically 500 there. For each and every issue that we just spotted with the minus 250 calculation there, we do quality check our system, but it's also based on a lot of settings in the backend. So I think somebody has been playing here as to the quantity, which we can always revisit with our own developers and sort those issues out. Right, once I've got all my possible charges that I want to add into the system, if the client's specifying they actually don't want to see VAT on the entry, and say for instance you've got 1,000 lines that you have to go through and change the type from S back to Z or S, you can actually press this orange button right at the bottom and zero rate the entire VAT on your estimate or invoice where your client specifies they don't want to see the VAT inclusive. They want the estimate without the VAT. Right, once I'm done with that, I can go to any of those lines and adjust it. I can also just go back to my print screen over here and then go ahead and pull out the estimates quote without the tariff lines being inclusive. So there you can see for each line that I've added, inclusive with the other description, you can see there's a line count, what's the charge code, your charge description, what's your invoicing amount, what the VAT amount is going to be, and then what the total payable for this estimate is going to be for the client. And right at the bottom, we can add a signature or a digital signature for your client so that they can sign the documentation, send it back to you in order to proceed with the next steps as raising the forwarding file or raising the clearance file thereafter. For each estimate that I have raised over here, I don't think the estimate has a scenario where it adds it to the paperclip, but if you do find that you've added items to the paperclip, EasyClear will always have this 3 dotted icon on top over here, just to show you a shortcut to either take you to the imports, exports bill of entry, the EDI send and receive screen, or last but not least, what we're looking for here is the easy filing module in order to see what documents we have attached to this estimate as well. So you're more than welcome to press the paperclip, drag and drop a PDF document over, link it to the e-filing system, and then you can always have it at the ready. So if you ever need to reprint the estimate or a signed estimate, you can attach it to the actual estimate file itself. Alrighty, so from there, that actually covers the full estimates module presentation here.